Well, folks, that whooshing sound you might be hearing right now is the sound of the other shoe on its way to the floor for Hasbro. Yeah, it's not looking good. But before we get into that, of course, I'd like to remind you all that this video is brought to you by our friends at Hellebarde Games. Hellebarde makes the kind of adventures they'd like to play, whether it's for 5th edition or for the OSR. Old School is in play at the table with Hellebarde, and you can find them on DriveThruRPG or on their website, hellebardegames.com, and I will leave a link down below to that, of course. And if you haven't already, please do consider clicking the subscribe button and the bell icon for notifications. Let's get right into it, folks. Hasbro's stock is really getting walloped today, and they've issued a down-looking report for the coming year. So let's just go ahead and pull that up. I want to thank a couple of my viewers, Elven, Maid, and Stephanie, for cluing me into this and helping me get this going on today. So let's take a quick look. And this is CNBC, and we'll pull this up here. Yeah. And I'll link to it, of course, for you guys. But here we go. This is by Layla Neelakandan, and I apologize if I mispronounced that. Hasbro reports 20% revenue drop, issues downbeat 2024 outlook. Toy company Hasbro reported a more than 20% hit to its fourth quarter revenue and issued a downbeat 2024 forecast Tuesday morning. For the last 3 months of 2023, Hasbro lost $1.06 billion, or $7 per share, drastically wider than the year-ago losses. The company now expects to cut $750 million in cost by the end of 2025. And you can see there, they are currently off by 3.63%. Toy company Hasbro reported a more than 20% hit to its fourth quarter revenue and issued a downbeat 2024 forecast Tuesday morning. Shares of the company dipped about 5% following the report. So you can see between when this article dropped and now it's come back up a little bit. Here's how Hasbro performed in the fourth quarter compared to estimates from LSEG, formerly known as Refinitiv. Earnings per share 38 cents versus 66 cents expected. Revenue $1.29 billion versus $1.36 billion expected. For the last 3 months of 2023, Hasbro lost $1.06 billion or $7.64 per share, drastically wider than the losses of $128.9 million or 93 cents a year earlier. Guys, that's 10 times the losses as the year before. After major adjustments related to goodwill and intangible assets, the company reported adjusted earnings per share of 38 cents, still well below analyst estimates. This is important, guys. This is important. Major adjustments related to goodwill. They took a hit in 2023 because they sent Pinkertons after a YouTuber over Magic the Gathering cards. They got embroiled in all that nonsense regarding the open gaming license. You better believe they had to make some adjustments. For the full year 2023, revenue declined 15% to $1.29 billion, including double-digit sales drops in its consumer products and entertainment segments. Hasbro did see an increase in revenue, however, in its Wizards of the Coast gaming and digital segment, primarily due to licensing revenue related to Baldur's Gate 3 and Monopoly Go. The company reduced its inventory by more than 50% compared to the year prior. And of course, we know that they reduced their employment by 25%. 2023 was a productive year for Hasbro, although not without some challenges. Chief Financial Officer Gina Getter said in a statement, as we navigated the current environment, we took aggressive steps to optimize our inventory, reset the cost structure, and sharpen our portfolio focus on play with the E1 film and TV divestiture. That's right. They cut away their TV and film department. Hasbro expects further revenue declines in the year ahead. Why won't the bleeding stop, I wonder? In the Wizards of the Coast segment, the company expects a 3 to 5% revenue dip, coupled with a 7% to 12% hit to the consumer products business. The company expects overall adjusted earnings before interest, taxes, and depreciation and amortization of $925 million to $1 billion. The company now expects to cut $750 million in costs by the end of 2025, up from a previous target of $350 million to $400 million. In December, the toy maker laid off 1,100 employees after it already cut 15% of its workforce earlier in the year. A couple of things. Now, I've talked about doing this video on social media today when I got this information. And some people, and I'm not calling them out, and I'm not saying I disagree with them, so I'm not trying to start an argument, but someone responded, well, stocks are down all over. And yes, stocks drop, and they tend to drag everyone with them. Inexplicably, Apple being down could cause R.J.R. Reynolds to be down. People's confidence goes away. I understand enough about stocks to understand that. And the other comment, of course, is stock health does not equate to company health. And while I agree in principle, it is a bellwether. But if you don't think that the stock market dipping is an indication, and if you don't think stock price dipping is an indication, it's right in this article in black and white. They state flatly they're hurting, and it was an own goal. There's no denying that whatsoever. You can take away from whichever angle you want to on this. Hasbro took a hit. Now, something else I'd like to address, it's a little straw-manny, but hopefully you'll hear me out on this, is the tendency to say that, well, look, Bill, they're talking about billions of dollars. This company's not going anywhere. To which I would remind you of the parable of Commodore computers. Commodore was the largest consumer computer company in the United States from the mid-1970s until 1991-ish or so. It wasn't Apple. It wasn't Atari. It certainly wasn't IBM. IBM attempted to get into the home consumer business with the PC Junior, and it was an unmitigated disaster that I don't think they ever really recovered from. Commodore reigned supreme. They shifted 22 million Commodore 64s. Everyone had a C64. Everyone had a 1541 disk drive. Everyone played all the classic games on those machines. The outliers were people with Apples and Ataris. At least here in the United States. But the thing is, riding high in 1986, less than 8 years later, they were gone. There is no brand that's too big to fail. There is no company that can't screw up. I mean, the road of corporate capitalism is paved with the headstones of companies like Sears, like Kmart, W.T. Grant's, American Motors, the aforementioned Commodore. Guys, no company is too big to fail. No company is above falling. We caught Hasbro in the process of shopping around D&D IP. And for those of you who say, no, Bill, that was just the video game, that was just the digital stuff, you're willing to believe Hasbro? After a full year of the lies that came out of Wizards of the Coast? You're willing to believe them over that? I don't believe it for a second. My buddy Ryan David over at Nerd Cognito said, when you go out to sell stuff, everything is on the table. You think if Tencent didn't say, well, what if we double the price and we just want D&D outright from you? So things are bad for Hasbro, guys. And that could mean very bad news for Dungeons and Dragons fans. And it's right there in black and white. Can they turn it around? I don't know. I'm just a simple YouTuber, guys. I'm just a guy who loves Dungeons and Dragons and wants to see the hobby flourish. But what do you think? Of course. I want to know what you think. So please leave a comment down below. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. And again, if you haven't already, please click the subscribe button. Click the bell icon for notifications. We're going to touch on this subject again. Rest assured. We're going to have a guest on soon, at least in the time recording this. Somebody who's probably got a little bit sharper financial wit than I do to talk about it. But until then, everybody, pump those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers. I'll see you next time. Peace.